Hi, it's Marjie Kemper with Eclectic Papery. I'm so glad you're taking this class. I'm making this canvas using Canvas Core stretched natural canvas, natural meaning it's not coated with gesso. Most of the time I would coat a canvas with gesso, but today I want to do something without because the unfinished canvas will soak up my ink in a much different way if I leave it raw. I'm going to be using 4 of Diane Reevely's Dylusions Ink Sprays, which I love, love, love. I've got lemon zest, cut grass, fresh lime, and vibrant turquoise. I also have ready in my work area black paint. Not sure which of these I'm going to use yet, but I've got Dick Blick, which is a little bit thicker, heavier acrylic, and then the Ranger paint dauber, which is another favorite. I have makeup wedges to apply that with, just regular cosmetic sponges from the drugstore. My water mister, Ranger heat tool, roll of paper towels, some baby wipes are handy, and a number of stencils. So to start, I want to make sure I have a large enough work area that when I spray I won't be bothered if it goes a little bit out there. And I'm going to start with my lightest colors. Love these sprays. So I always start light. You can always go back, and if yours is a little bit low like mine is because I use it so much, you might want to tilt the canvas up for it. I think my next brightest color is the fresh lime. And I think I'll bring in a little bit of that turquoise. Oh, look at that. I'm lightening that up a little bit with my water. This is really personal preference. See how it's dripping off? I love that. I'll use a tag to soak up that color so we don't lose any. I have no idea which end is up at this point. I just want to blend it, let the colors run a little bit. I think I just want a little bit more of the blue. Love it. Love it. Okay. And I'm going to just let that dry for a moment. You can always use your fingers if there's a part that you wanted different. Bring that color right off. Also, if it was way too much, if I wasn't happy with that, I could have really quickly pushed a tag into it, which I should have had on my table. I always have tags right at hand, which is what I'll do with what's down here. Look at that. Oh, beautiful. So let's lay this aside and just mop up all that color for now. That's going to be nice for another project. And if you want to vary them, you can always bring in your other colors too. I don't want to end up with 4 green tags right now, so maybe I'll just either add some more of another color. You can also just pat them. You get a different effect if you don't swirl it. And even though that might not look like much right now, after it dries, we can add more to it. Very rarely, look at that, that's nice, huh? It's kind of dripping down on its own. And you could also play with that. Where's my water? Right here. You could also just let that run down. So don't give up on the color you still have on your sheet. You can always use that. Alright, well I said I didn't want to end up with 4 green tags, and that's exactly what I'm doing, so let's add a little contrast. Let's put the pink in there, see what we get. Just for variety. Ooh, nice. That'll become something nice too. Okay. See, it's hard to stop playing once you've got all this excess. But for the sake of the video, I will stop. I'll just wipe that up with this. Okay, these stripes are not normally here. I put a little bit of washi tape down just so I would remember what's visible to you on the camera. So I'm going to let this dry for a bit. I'll come back to you in a minute. So I just came back on to show you. I used the heat tool for a while, and I did get most of the area dry, but then I could still feel dampness, so I did this. And I just wanted to point out that this is something you can save and use. I use this kind of stuff in my journal, the mop-ups, quite a bit. But definitely wait until things get to a reasonable level of dryness before you move on to the next step. Now I have my alphabet stencil out, and you can see they're in all different sizes and mix-ups. I never like to put the stencil like with the entire thing showing directly. I want to just use a part. So here I have my water, just a couple of good mists. Diane recommends you wait. I think she says 10 seconds. I took some wonderful classes with her last year. So let's say we're at 5, 6, 7, 8. Just give it a couple minutes to sit there. And then you can either take your paper towel and just do a gentle blot, or you could just lift it right up. I like to do that just to make sure I don't have excess going under. And that's going to ghost. Oh, look at that. Isn't that gorgeous? I love that look. I'm going to turn it. I want just a little variety going around. That a little bit. I don't want to wiggle it. I just did, which is why I'm blabbing it already, because I wiggled it by mistake. It wouldn't matter if it were shapes, but with letters, to me, I'd rather have it be clear. Oh, look at that. I love it. So that's enough of that one, I think. I don't want to have the numbers, the letters 3 times, but I'm coming with the numbers now down here. Let's see. 5, 6, 7. It's so hard to wait. Love it. Look at that. Just from inks and water already this is coming out. And I have no idea where this is going. I don't have the next, I don't have a final image in mind. I just knew I wanted to use these colors to get started as a base. I don't know what we did up here, but that can be easily re-spritzed. I must have had something on the table. I'll just give this another quick shot with the heat tool. And I'm thinking I want to use one of her large borders. So I think that's going to be my next step. And then the only question is, do I want to do it with paint? I think I do. I think I want to have a black paint border around this. So I think, let's see, which one do I want to use? I think I'm going to just use the Dick Blick. A great way to apply paint with a stencil is with the makeup wedge. Julie Fayfen Balzer taught me this one, and her basic tip is less is more, always. So you just take the paint on there and then dab it off to where it's almost dry. And then I'm going to hold this stencil in place and just dab it where I want it. Julie has a ton of great tutorials on her blog and some awesome classes she does online as well as in person. Top is done. And come down the side. I don't, as I said, I'm not sure what I'm going to put on the inside of this stencil design, but I'm happy to have the basic colors and border planned. Okay, looks pretty good. And pull this up. All right, I'm going to finish the other side and I'll be back. You know, I came back before I finished because I thought maybe I should point out, even though this border, you know, it doesn't line up exactly because this stencil is obviously a different size. I think this is 9 by 12 and this is 10 by 10. But you can just be creative with the waves. Even though it's not exact, it's fine. You can make your border. And like here, I'm going to have the same situation. I'm going to make sure I have this totally dry, and then I'll flip it. And you see how that's going to come down and match? That'll look fine. So I just wanted to point that out. Be right back. I decided to come in with a small circle stencil and just add a little more interest here. So I've got my chrome yellow Ranger archival ink and ink blending tool. Really smush that in there. I'm just going to hit a few areas here. Nice, very subtle. I like that a lot. I like to repeat the stenciling in a few places. Pushing a little harder up here where I have the wood to accept it. Good, I like that. It's getting more interesting. The other good thing about turning the stencils before, when I did the numbers and the letters, doesn't really matter now which side is up because everything is pointing in. So no matter what side I end up on, it'll look kind of okay. And we're going to do a little of this. Let me get a nice blue. This is one of my favorite blues, manganese blue. And get my ink blending tool for that. I just have a tool for each basic color, except for certain ones I'll do, like here I have a light blue and I have a dark blue. For certain ones that I use a lot of and I want to have a bit of a distinction, I do label them both. Whenever I do this stencil, this is one of Julie's, the last one was too, Crafter's Workshop stencil. Whenever I do one of these ones, like with the arrows or the chevrons, any of those kind, I like to try to go all the way to the end and to hit more than one line, but it's totally your preference. You really can't go wrong with this stencil. And it has that same property with the, you know, it doesn't matter. There's no right side, wrong side. Oh, I love how this is coming along. This is how I love to do art journaling. I was pretty sure this canvas would take all this, and I'm psyched because it's really starting to build up. Okay, I'm going to stop here because it's getting dark, and this is actually my first time doing this video, so I want to stop while the daylight is good and come back tomorrow and finish it up. Hopefully tonight I'll have some idea about what should go in the inside. Yeah, I'll just give a little bit of blue around those edges while we're waiting. And I think also I'm going to paint the outer edge black so that can sit overnight. Let me do that before I go. For that, I'm just going to use a sponge brush. Should have had that ready. It's funny doing a video because I've watched so many, trying to remember what all everybody does. I guess the main thing is it helps if you know what you're doing ahead of time, but I don't usually work that way, so hope this is okay with all of you. I like to, this may just be the first coat. I generally come a little bit over the front edge when I do a canvas. Okay, well you don't need to watch me paint black around the border. I'll turn this off and I'll be back tomorrow. Hey, it's Margie and I am back. I've come up with a plan of sorts, and I've decided I'm going to use a female image. I'm trying to decide between these three. These are all Dina Wakley, and I love this one. Actually, I love them all, but I think this one has just the attitude for what I'm thinking of, some kind of positive, believe in yourself sort of sentiment. So I'm going to ink her up. This is a cling mount stamp, and I'm just going to put it on a block and ink it up with some archival jet black Ranger. It's always better to put the ink on, especially on a solid stamp like this way rather than pressing the stamp into the ink. And just because this is my only opportunity, I'll make sure I have a good impression before I... Okay, good, I've got it nicely inked. So now I'll do that again. And I'm going to use one of the tags from before. Remember we had the mop-ups. So I'm going to use one of these to stamp her on. I like this one. Which way do I want to go? I'll get most of her that way. The reason I'm not stamping directly on the canvas is there's too much give. I would not get a good impression. Oh, isn't that great? Get a good look at that. So I'm going to come back and cut her out, or I'll go cut her out and I'll come back. Okay, I'm back. She's cut out. And I'm just inking all of the edges. Oh, I missed a little spot. I'm inking all the edges with some of that Jet Black Archival, just so it'll pop a little bit more off the canvas. I'm not doing a good job with this. Okay. Nope, I still left a piece. Really, you'd think I know how to use a scissor. There we go. Okay. So a little Jet Black, and I just went around her body, but I kept the text. I'll show you in one sec. Let me just edge the crown points. I love the way this little mop-up tag came out with the color varying. So you can see, here, let me put this on paper for you. You can see she has the writing there. And so for us, we've got the green and yellow coming around. So I'm going to give her something to stand on. I cut out a piece of black cardstock, and that looked kind of boring, so then I thought maybe put a little bit of rickrack. Well, that looks kind of good. Kind of nice. But then while I was inking that, I spied this washi tape again, you know, that I made as the marks. And I wonder if that would look even better. So let me grab that. Ooh, I have a nice text washi too. Let's see, we could go either way. We could do, ooh, the text might look really nice. This one's an alphabet by Prima. It's like a typewriter font. Ooh, that's, I like that a lot. Let's use that. Okay. So let's cut that off. I'm going to save this on the craft mat. Keep it stuck there. Because I don't want to do that until I know for sure where she's going to be positioned. I really love the way the color is popping there. I might want to cover this little bit of extra dilution or paint. Oh, that looks good. Let's do that. Okay. So I'm going to use this Beacon 3-in-1. I bought this for a class a while ago, and I didn't really understand why I needed another glue, but it is actually very fast drying, and it'll work well with this canvas and paper. So I'm sure you could use whatever you have handy. Try not to glue the top to the container, as I seem to have done. Let me get something to grab that. Yeah, just check. I'm sure you have glue at home. That's fine. Just make sure it's going to work for the paper and the canvas. I did this on a tag. You saw that, just on a plain old tag from the office supply. Okay, get her going. I try not to go too close to the edge with this because you know, I just don't want to have any gooey stuff coming out. And I do take a toothpick. I have one of these things on my desk, you know, like from a diner. And I just want to get up to like the tip top of some of the crown points. So it looks like I might need a little more. Yeah, this is so fast drying that it's already starting to dry. So let me just get some of it up there and then get this popped down real quick. Okay. So I'm going to cover that little bit of black I didn't like. Make her kind of straight. She's good. And just hold her in place for a minute. Okay, I'm back, and I've decided just to do a Believe in Yourself. I was going to do You Go Girl, but I don't know, it just... I say that to people a lot, but it seems funny to put it on a canvas, so I'm just going to do Believe in Yourself. And I'm trying to use up from this one first, but whatever. So I don't really care how I'm putting these down because I'm just using this packaging so I can pull up if need be. It's just really so I don't start putting them down and then suddenly realize I've run out of space, you know, and I only have half the word on. So I need another E. And then I was thinking it might be kind of neat to use the smaller font. So like this is the larger of the two, and then the In Yourself, maybe it might look nicer smaller. Oh no, actually let's do the In small and then Yourself big. That would be good. That's why this, you gotta use plastic in my opinion. Because otherwise, so I have to decide if I really want that. Or do I want to go this way? No. Do I want to come up here? No, I like it down by her. Alright, so I'm just going to place these really carefully. Let me get my medium. There we go. So I kind of keep it where I was thinking of and just squeeze out my matte medium. I got a little clog. Squeeze it right on the plastic, and then the plastic kind of becomes my little palette. And just add a little bit to each one. I'll be back when this is done. So I'm back. I have my letters down. I just think that I put this on because the crown, I missed a few spots on the crown. I'm just trying to get that to stay down more. But I do like this, but it doesn't feel balanced. It feels too heavy down here, not enough up there. So I think, well, this is, that's another thing with your plastic. If you had wet glue, you can use it as a buffer in between. So I'm thinking I do want to dye some of these plain. Oh yeah, that's probably going to be really good. I do want to do that. So I think I'm just going to pick a few sizes that look like they'll layer nicely. Doesn't matter if these are a little roughed up. Oh, that's going to be good. Maybe we just need something good in the middle there. What do I want to put in the middle? Maybe a button, a black button might look nice, right? Yeah, that'd be good. That looks looks a lot better. Maybe something down here to even this up. Oh, that might be good, huh? Double that up. I have another button. I do. Well, that's a good start. Let's spray the flowers and see how it looks. Okay, let's do the yellows mostly, I think. A little green. A little blue might be good too. Get a little more blue in there. Another, just a little reminder to myself, you can always go in and just get it in sections where you want it. I think. I don't like the way those are really coming out. Let's see. Ooh, that's nice. Let's try that. I like that one. Another thing is I could have just done it in the light color and then stenciled over. Oh, that's kind of pretty too. Let's see what we have here. It's coming along. I'm tempted to add some orange, but I think we'll stick with this color palette. Alright, let me dry these. See what we have. Use one of those tags again to mop up the rest. That's going to be a nice one. Okay, okay. Dry these real quick. So I decided I like those flowers. I'm just going to see if I want, these are the two that I like the most. Or actually these were the two that I like the most, I think. And I'm going to see if I want to add some text onto the top one, but I only have that one, so I'm going to practice on this and see what I think. This is just text stamp from Christy Tomlinson. Well, it's kind of hard to see if I don't use the same size flower, isn't it? Let's see. Is that the same size? No, that's too big. Well, I really only have this one, so I don't want to do it if I'm going to be wrong about it. Let's see. I want to know. I want to know what the text will look like. Let's see it on this one. It's actually not even the right size block. It's a terrible example. Let me put it on something it should be on. Still not even the right size, but it's better. Oh, that's nice. Come back and get the part I didn't get. That is nice, huh? So, choices are a solid, a button, which is nice, the pop, I like it, or a solid, a text, and a button. Ooh, I like that more. So I'm back and I decided to use these two flowers. I went ahead and used black ink and went around all the edges again, like I did on that Dina female stamp. And now I just need to decide where to put them. I also pulled out this bag of little chipboard circles. I think this came from a game when my kids were little. And I like to use those as spacers to raise things up, kind of like Pop-Tarts. So I'm just going to go ahead and commit to this flower. Is being stubborn. The only thing I would say when you're placing the flower, I like when things go off the edge, but it does get harder to store them, so just keep that in mind for whatever your personal needs are. And it's also nice if you work it out so that the petals are not following straight along that stencil line, the black stencils that we have going there. I should have a toothpick in my hand to cut this string of glue. Okay, here comes my little chipboard. Good. I'll repeat that. Let go. This is where it gets so aggravating, because you've been working on everything, it hasn't mattered if you're precise or not, and then suddenly on the last step you can end up with something you don't want. Okay. Oh, this was the one I meant to put on there. Uh-oh. Ruh-roh. Well, this is what I was so indecisive about before. Okay, so it could go like that, which is fine. Or I can just cover that one up with what I intended. That's fine. I really do kind of like that one more. It'll be our little secret. Sorry, I know this is really exciting watching the flower go. I thought we'd be done by now. Oh, okay. I'm not liking that little tag on, but hopefully can get rid of that. If that ever happens, you could always spray it with anything, you know, Perfect Pearls, Tattered Angels, anything with an intentional bit of glitter to hide it. And I may end up doing that later, if that looks gross. Alright, the button, last step. Whew, at last. Okay. I like it. I'm going to let it sit flat for a minute. And I shall come back. So I think this looks good. I'm a little bothered. There's some pinkish flecks coming up, I think from when I did that first spritzing of the tags, and I decided to make my tags more interesting from the mop-up. Whoops. So I want to go in with a little bit of color with the stencil to try and block that. And I'm thinking I want something darker than what I had before we used the chrome yellow. And now I'm bringing in the saffron, which is obviously darker, but I'm not sure if it's going to look right. So I am going to start in down here, where it won't be as noticeable. And if I don't like it, I don't have to repeat it. Oh, I do kind of like that. I like it bigger than that, though. I mean, in a larger area. Yeah. And with all of these stencils, I never want like a straight line down. I intentionally am going to go on a diagonal. Yeah, that's good. See, now it looks like, now it really doesn't look like so much of an accident. It's more intentional. Yeah, oh, I like that. That definitely is bringing the whole thing together. So here I want to get a little more now that I am comfortable that it doesn't look bad. I'm going to add some more. Oh yeah, that definitely looks like I meant it. Maybe a little back here behind Dina's lady. All right, I think that added a lot. Maybe just this one section here needs a little something. I'm not sure if I want to use this stencil again, or maybe we'll use the circles. Well, they are right there, so I don't know that I want to put it that close, but just a little overlap. Oh, I like that. Doesn't that look good? I mean, you know, not to sound like, ooh, doesn't that look good, but I think it looks better. I think it filled the space nicely. Oh, I hope everybody enjoys this and just has fun. I know sometimes people get a little anxious about using a canvas, but it's really just like a piece of paper. It's nothing to worry about. And hey, you could always make another one if you don't like the one you start with. Feel free to use anything you have. Have a great time. I hope you'll let me know what you thought. And visit my blog, Marjie Kemper, MarjieKemper.typepad.com. And thanks so much for taking this class. Hope to see you there and at Eclectic Papery.